In the world of shonen anime, we've witnessed a plethora of plotlines. We've followed the journey of underdogs rising to incredible power, virtuous heroes wielding their strength for the greater good, and the morally ambiguous characters pursuing their own desires. With the abundance of shonen content available today, it's easy to believe that we've seen everything there is to be offered. But has shonen content truly exhausted every possible plotline? I beg to differ. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about Mob Psycho 100. If you like this kind of content, do consider subscribing, and if you like this video, drop a like. With that being said, let's get into it. Mob Psycho 100 is an anime series that introduces us to Mob, a middle school student with extraordinary psychic powers. Guided by his charismatic mentor Reigen, Mob learns to control his emotions and responsibly wield his powers. Navigating a world of spirits and psychic organizations, Mob faces supernatural threats while grappling with his own identity and personal growth. What sets Mob Psycho apart from other shonen anime is its unique combination of captivating storytelling, stunning animation, and exploration of complex themes. Unlike traditional power-centric narratives, the series delves deep into psychological and emotional aspects of the characters, emphasizing personal growth, self-acceptance, and consequences of wielding immense power. It seamlessly blends intense action sequence with moments of humor and introspection, creating a dynamic and thought-provoking experience. Moreover, its visually striking animation, characterized by fluid movements and distinctive artistry, distinguishes itself from other anime. By defying genre expectations and offering a fresh perspective, Mob Psycho captivates its audience with its innovative storytelling and exploration of profound themes that go beyond mere combat and strength. To truly grasp the essence of Mob Psycho, let's understand Mob as a character and the underlying philosophy of the show. Let's start with Mob himself. At the first glance, he appears to be an ordinary introverted and socially awkward middle school student. His character is intentionally written to avoid standing out, thus creating a sense of normality that distinguishes him from the typical shonen protagonists. However, everything changes when we discover his psychic abilities. While one might assume that possessing such immense power would lead to a strong sense of superiority, Mob's reaction is quite the opposite. He refuses to use his powers on anyone except the spirit he exorcises, perceiving his abilities as a burden rather than a gift. This notion is exemplified in one of the first fights of the series between Mob and Hanazawa Teruki, a fellow student from a rival school who also has psychic powers. Teru misuses his abilities to win gang fights, provoke attacks, and establish a sense of superiority in his school, a direct contradiction to Mob's beliefs. Upon discovering Mob's powers, Teru challenges him to a fight. Throughout the confrontation, Mob refuses to use his powers, instead attempts to de-escalate the situation through communication. But as the fight continues and Mob fails to convince Teru to meet middle ground with him, we see an increase in his metaphorical percentage scale, indicating that he's getting closer and closer to his boiling point. The altercation eventually leads to Mob losing his consciousness and entering a transcendent state, unleashing uncontrollable power and unintentionally causing destruction. Upon regaining consciousness, he realizes what he has done and loathes the fact that he couldn't control his powers and let things get out of hand. Mob's innate need to suppress his powers comes from a childhood trauma where something similar happened when he witnessed his younger brother Ritsu get bullied. His unique approach to a protagonist deviates from the norm. Most shonen characters tend to utilize their power, whether for good or evil. It's rare to see a main character actively try and suppress his powers and lead a mundane life. As we progress through the seasons, we witness Mob's character development. He not only improves his physical strength and stamina through the bodybuilding club, makes new friends and learns to socialize, but he also matures emotionally. He learns to not be easily fooled and stand up for his needs and emotions. He understands that people can change and realizes that it's okay to give second chances. Overall, he becomes a well-rounded person. One of the main and final challenges that Mob overcomes is his lack of self-acceptance. In the first 2 seasons, we get to see Mob's unknown side in battles, which somewhat glamorizes it, despite Mob constantly saying that it's a danger. However, in the 3rd season, we finally get to see what happens if Mob loses control over his transcendent state. In the final episodes, Mob decides to confess his feelings to his crush Tsubame, but he gets into an accident while trying to save a child on the way. The intense desire to meet Tsubame and confess his feelings was so strong that it unlocked Mob's transcendent state, which he has been trying to suppress for a long time. While Mob is unconscious, his other side takes over and wreaks havoc on the way to the park where he promised to meet Tsubame, forcing the city into a lockdown. All the people helped by Mob so far try their best to help him regain his control over his body. One of the best parts is that despite being nearly killed by his malignant side, they still didn't lose faith in him by truly sticking to the belief that Mob is innately good. During this chaotic situation, Mob in his mental realm watches everything unfold in horror. He confronts his darker self and tries to persuade him to stop hurting more people. The darker side claims to be the true Shigeo Kageyama, stating that Mob has been trying to suppress him and that it won't be possible anymore as soon as he consumes Mob and becomes their true self. The dark side confesses that he is the one who liked Tsubame because she accepted all sides of Mob, treating him no differently than anyone else. If she truly liked Mob, she would be able to embrace every part of him, no matter how ugly it may seem. Maybe if she were to like him even in his destructive state, Mob can finally be openly flawed without worrying about his identity and need to control it. In a way, the final villain that Mob has to face is himself, representing the side that he is ashamed of and the one he considers to be ugly. He constantly faces an internal struggle and gradually loses himself, being replaced by the other side. Ultimately, it's Reigen's confession about lying to Mob and using him for his business that helps stop the rampage and bring Mob to a calmer state. Throughout the whole show, Reigen and Mob's relationship has constantly evolved. They've had their share of conflicts, with Mob even cutting things off with Reigen and Reigen having to confront the fact that his business was really built because of Mob. At some point, Mob had realized that his master is not actually a psychic and that he's been using him, but doesn't point it out as he believes that Reigen is a good person who supported his growth. Reigen had apologized for treating Mob the way he did, but he never truly admitted to it and acknowledged his flaws until now. When the malignant side took over, he hyper-focused and hated how Reigen used him for all these years and was convinced that the only reason Reigen was there for Mob was to use him for his business. But seeing how honest Reigen was with him about everything surprised him. He was completely open and vulnerable for the first time with nothing holding him back. He was able to set an example of how people balance and take accountability of their best and worst attributes, and ultimately accepting one's identity is the most important. He was able to show that it's okay to be flawed because in a way that makes you more human, and ultimately that's what Mob wanted. What Mob wanted most was to be like everyone else and live a normal life. And accepting himself was the first step towards it. From the first episode, Mob Psycho has consistently been subverting expectations and remaining true to its unique narrative. It humanizes its protagonist by portraying his psychic power as a flaw rather than a strength. Throughout the series, we have reminded that this power, coveted by many, doesn't make anyone inherently special or make their life easier. However, it should not be seen as a burden or a danger either, as it ultimately is a part of who you are. Possessing this power doesn't automatically make someone a hero or a villain. It simply contributes to their individuality and creates a sense of uniqueness. Everyone has something that sets them apart, but it's not something that can or should be measured or ranked. In a world where every aspect of your being is scrutinized, ranked, and subjected to criticism or praise, it's tempting to get caught up in concealing and eliminating your flaws while showcasing and perfecting your strengths. However, there are times where we should be able to step back and detach ourselves from this relentless pursuit. Shouldn't just existing be sufficient? Do our flaws or strengths really have to dictate our essence of morality? Mob Psycho manages to convey this message within a genre that typically highlights how your strengths and sense of justice define you as a hero, while your flaws and apathy cast you as a villain. Yet it does so without turning it into a mockery. Shonen anime emphasizes that achieving one's goals and ambitions is the basis of one's identity. However, Mob Psycho offers an alternative perspective. It places emphasis on accepting every facet of your being, and coming to peace with your internal struggles. And don't you think this could be a good enough reason for one's existence?